Hello everyone. Today we are going to speak about the correct CE marking of dates. Welcome back to the ABC of product compliance. Today we will continue this series with the letter C, which stands today for CE marking. Contrary to the intro, we won't really discuss how dates should be labeled, because I think they don't need to be labeled with a CE marking, but they have been the inspiration for today's video. Instead, we are going to discuss how you can label your products with the CE marking. We will go through some samples which I've collected and discuss if or if not it is a good option to do it in the shown way. So let's directly jump into it. First example is a very basic product label with an adhesive film on, glued onto the product, permanently marked. You can read the CE marking, which shouldn't be changed in its form and which should have a minimum height of 5 millimeters. Second example is a very common way of labeling products, which is engraving it with a laser, with a mechanical method. There are different ways to engrave products. Third is a cable. They are not really good plain areas. So in this case, the manufacturer decided to put a little flag on the cable to have the CE marking on the product. Next one is a very elegant way of labeling a product. Is a phone, where the manufacturer decided not to have the CE marking on the outside of the product, and instead they put a little flag inside which could pop out from the SIM card slot, and all the necessary marking of the products are on this little flags. This is using some exception in the regulations, which is that CE marking, also the manufacturer's address or name, can be hidden. There's a rule for this exception, which is that this CE marking or this manufacturer's address should be accessible without using any tools. So if you would have to use a screwdriver or anything different than a coin, this is seen as non-compliant with the requirement. So if you can pop it up with your fingers, with a button or with a coin, it is seen as being compliant with the requirements of the CE marking. From time to time you're getting products with these little stickers glued on, and as you can see, I have the sticker in my hand, which means it was not affixed to the product permanently. And this is also something I wouldn't really recommend to you. There are even some reworks of regulations going on which specifically forbid using these kind of labeling methods. But in this case, I have it from a little finger puppet of my children, and in the specific example, you could argue that it was for economic reasons to have this way of labeling. Speaking about these economic reasons, it's always difficult to argue with these, but if you would use something like that, you should have your argumentation ready. Now let's come back to the dates. Of course, it would be possible to have all dates engraved with a CE marking, if you would assume that dates have to be CE marked. But I think it's clear that this wouldn't be economically viable. So what the manufacturer has done instead is not labeling the date but putting the CE marking on the packaging. And that's actually something that you have to consider when not labeling your product. So if there would be any reasons for you not to label your products directly, you have to put a CE marking on your packaging and, depending on the regulations, also on the instruction manuals. And that was done in the example of the dates. So even though I think it was not necessary, overall the manufacturer of the dates or the farmer has done everything right. That's it for today. Next week we will discuss the letter D, which will stand for Declaration of Conformity. And until then, I wish you a great week and have a good time.